ask you, how in the heck did they forget about you in the top 10 most versatile players? I don't even mention you, and that's what ticks me off. That's why we're here at Behind the Face Mask, so you can get your story out and in the most comfortable way as possible, because, it ticks me off that they did not recognize that.
This is Gene Mingo, and out of his mouth came, he helped save the American Football League. And what he meant by that is that when I went to different cities to play and being able to catch passes, run the ball, kick extra points, kick field goals, I played seven positions for the Bronco, and I was told by Jim Sacamano that I had scored in 7 different ways, and I don't even know what all those ways were.
What I find is really cool about those 2 plays is one was for 50 yards in the first half of the game, and then in the second half of the game, I believe in the fourth quarter, you hit the same player again for 52 yards. Now, I'll tell you this, I've watched a lot of the Wildcat plays. I've seen LaDainian Tomlinson do a lot of his halfback passes. They all come inside the 5, so, you were talking about having that arm that you had out of the catcher's crouch. I imagine they had to realize you had some star power there with throwing the football.
You've had a fabulous career. I mean, there's no doubt. Nobody can deny that. You're recognized by the Hall of Fame. You are inducted into a few Hall of Fames for Ohio. That's got to be a great honor. I think that you should actually be in the National Football or the Pro Football Hall of Fame and be a member of it, not just recognized.
No, I'm not in the Hall of Fame. I'm not even in the Canton Hall of Fame. What they have in Canton, Ohio, is some paraphernalia from the early years when I was supposedly a superstar for the American Football League. Actually, the uniforms that we had, I had no problem. I don't think anybody on our team had any problem with it. We were very happy to be Denver Broncos, and the yellow and brown socks, white and brown socks, the color of the jerseys and pants, that didn't mean anything. It was the individual in it. And like I keep telling people, I'd guarantee if you were to talk to any of those guys we played against back in the 60s and everything, they didn't like playing the Denver Broncos. Like I said at first, we only had 31 players and we had 3 reserves, and you had to go several different ways. We didn't even have T-shirts that we could keep, socks that we could keep. We had one whirlpool, and that whirlpool was a trough, a horse trough. We had one trainer, we had a coach for the defense, we had a coach for the offense, and we had Coach Philchuck. We didn't have, they have more coaches now than we had players when I was playing. The Broncos were going to leave here in '61, but they asked the players, and I was one of them, to go out and see if we could drum up some money, get people to commit to donating or making pledges to keep us in town. And that was in '61 because I think they were going to move the team to Alabama somewhere. I'm not for sure. But I had to walk up Colfax in Denver, Broadway, Colorado Boulevard, East and West, and get these people to go in their pockets to keep us here. Oh, he's going to be a good player. When he give him a year from 320, he's going to be a good 340 or 350. My God, how big do you have to make these guys out there? Don't they know they're going to have to take that weight off their body after they get through playing pro ball and what it's doing to their heart? I don't like the situation about going 18 games. They can't even play 16 games without getting hurt. When I signed with the Broncos in 1960, I signed for $6,500. That's $6,500. And when I retired from pro football in 1970 from the Steelers, I'm not even sure of this, it was maybe $21,000 was the most I made. There were no agents. You had to go in and negotiate your own contract. And did they dig? Well, Gene, in this game, you missed this field goal. And Gene, when you kicked off, the guy got past the line of scrimmage and you missed the tackle and you were the last line. They used any and everything to keep from giving you a raise. I was so loyal with the Denver Broncos in the American Football League that when the San Francisco 49ers asked me to leave the Denver Broncos and become a 49er, I turned them down. They offered me more money, and I got the paper that it was in the paper. I didn't even keep it. My son, my youngest son, made an album up with me, and I was going through it, and it had it in there. Mingo turns down 49ers. I used to get fined for going down the field and making the tackles when I kicked off. Phil Chuck used to holler at me, "God, so-and-so, you Mingo, you're the field goal and kickoff man. You don't go down the field to make the tackle. That's what the other 10 guys are for." And I would tell him, I say, "Coach, I know where I'm kicking the ball, and I can get past that first guy." And I would go down and make the tackle and go over to the sideline, and he would look at me, and out of his mouth, "Mingo, you're a good man." Being a field goal kicker, I don't think you'll find a team that will tell you they ever saw me run to the sideline after kicking off. I always went down and got in on the tackles or whatnot. I don't know how many times I recovered my onside kicks here in Denver. I don't even go to the games anymore, hardly. And I was on the alumni council for the Broncos for about 25 years and didn't miss any games. When I retired in 70, the end of the 70 season from the Steelers, and up until 2 years ago, I missed 5 games because I had 3 back operations. I had 2 neck surgeries. One was 10 and a half hours, 1 knee surgery, and all that. And because of the weather, that's the only reason I missed a couple games. But up until 2 years ago, I didn't miss a football game that the Broncos played at Mile High. The next thing you know, I'm up in Washington, D.C., and I'm signing a contract with the Washington Redskins to become their field goal kicker. Well, in '67, we played the Philadelphia Eagles in D.C. I went out there and warmed up, was teasing with the equipment man, the trainer, and the guards, and just having a good time jiving with people. Kicked off the opening kickoff. I kick off, and if you remember, they had a halfback by the name of Timmy Brown. Well, Timmy Brown caught the ball and broke through our line of scrimmage, and another guy that's going into the Hall of Fame, Chris Hamburger, was chasing him down. And I hit this guy at the same time Chris was coming from behind, and I had a concussion on the opening kickoff. Played the whole game, did everything I was supposed to do. Charlie Taylor and my roommate said that everybody was on the sideline laughing at me because instead of Sonny Jorgensen going to Otto Graham and asking him what plays to run, or the guys were coming asking me how to get past the defensive back or how to cover a wide receiver or whatnot, I was telling everybody what to do, and it was working. Well, I go into the locker room after the game is over, and Brig Owens, his locker was around the corner from me. He sticks his head around the corner and says, "Hey, Mingo," he says, "what you going to do tonight?" I said, "Well, after I shower, I'm going to go outside and get my wife and son and take them to dinner." He says, "You're going to do what?" I said, "You heard me, man." I said, "I'm going to get my wife and son and take them to dinner." And for some reason, I keep saying the doctor's name was Dr. Bess. I hear him holler out, "Dr. Bess, you better come back here and take a look at Mingo." He says, "What's wrong with him?" He says, "Well, I just asked him what he's going to do after he's showering." He said he's going outside and get his wife and son and take them to dinner. And he says, "What's wrong with that?" And Briggs told him, he said, his wife and son is in Denver. I woke up 2 days later in the hospital at the foot of my bed. The nurses must have just come in. I woke up Wednesday. The nurses must have just washed me up or whatever and tucked the sheets under my arms and all that. And the sun was coming in the window. And if you remember the flying nun, that had that winged hat on, at the foot of my bed were these 2 blondes in that white habit with those winged hats on their head, and one of them said, "Oh, we're so glad you opened your eyes." And I hadn't raised my head from the pillow yet, but when I did start to raise it, it felt like somebody hit me in the middle of my head with an axe. I had a concussion, didn't know what I was doing. The one girl said, let me go get the doctor. She went and got the doctor and brought him in. My roommate had been to see me a couple days and had left a paper on the ledge. I said, what time is it? And he says, what time is it? He says, well, it's 11 o'clock. I said, I got to get to the stadium. I got a game to play. He says, what day is it? I said, it's Sunday. And he reaches over on the ledge and hands the paper to me. And on the headline, it said, Mingo kicks tying field goal, 35-35. And I drove my teammates, my roommate, crazy the next couple days when I got out of the hospital trying to figure out what had happened and all this. So we were getting ready to go play on the road that Friday, because I went back to practice Thursday. Otto said, well, why don't you go home until you feel a little better? Come back tomorrow and we'll go through special teams. I come back that Friday, out there kicking field goals, kicking extra points, kicking off, and thinking that I'm going to be the kicker and go on the road. Well, I'm back there packing my bag to travel, and here comes the trainer in. He says, Mingo, Otto wants to see you. So I walk out the door into the hallway, and Otto Graham is standing there, and he wouldn't even look me in my face, and that really it burned me. He says, I'm going to have to let you go. And I looked at him, I said, let me go? He says, yeah, you kicked too erratic in the game Sunday. And at that time, the doctor was coming out of the room, and he says, Otto, the man played the game on instinct. He didn't even know he played the game. But they didn't even tell me how bad my neck was. The doctor told me that if someone had came up that hadn't seen me in a while, and you know how you do your buddies sometimes, you go up and you hit them on the back just to greet them. He said, Gene, if all someone had to do was come up and hit you in the back to say hello to you, he said, you could have been paralyzed the rest of your life. But they let me go without even telling me how bad it was. And that's the only thing I hate about the game. These guys go out there to play the game for the fans and all this, and when they're hurt, the teams, in my opinion, don't care about them. Everything is good, but as soon as you get injured, they want to get rid of you. They want to send you away from the game. Everywhere I went after I left Denver, like I said, when's the last time you've seen a black field goal kicker? Now, you've had punters, a couple punters. One was with the Miami Dolphins, and I forgot where the other one was from, but have you ever seen any other black field goal kickers in the NFL? The Cleveland Browns gave a black man, a black kicker, an opportunity to kick, and I like to fell off the couch. I looked at my wife, I said, honey, look. I said, that's a black kicker. And I looked at it again, I said, he won't make it. And like I said, in 40 years, when I kicked, you have not seen another black field goal kicker. I was a lucky man, but when I was on the field, I gave my all out there. And that's why I can understand, and it digs at me every year, that when it comes time for the Denver Broncos Ring of Fame, that my name is not drawn. I don't even know if the NFL wanted out there that there was a black field goal kicker in the league because, like I said, what I did, I haven't seen anybody do it since.